As sure as everyone in my bloodline will always be born with an extra chromosome, big industries will have some flops.
Nice cock.
For all of the gaming industry's explosive growth over the last 2 decades, it's also left some piles of glistening doo-doo in its wake. Just like when Grandma accidentally shit herself on the couch, some things need to be put down. In this video, I want to cover the biggest failures the gaming industry has ever squirted out.
It needs your eyes.
Being way ahead of your time is not always a good thing when it comes to technology, such as the case with the Virtual Boy. After Nintendo revolutionized the gaming industry with the original Game Boy and Love Hotels, they decided to put out one of the highest profile flops in the history of the company.
Release the spring, and then gently tighten it up with a tension control knob here on the side.
Virtual Boy came out in 1995 and barely survived 1 year in the market before being discontinued. This was a very early attempt at incorporating stereoscopic 3D into a home electronic. Nintendo had the balls to call this a portable console, even though you had to stand it on little stilts on a table or something and stick your face between its juicy thighs. The headset featured rudimentary 3D visuals and a red monochromatic color palette. The disgusting display caused customers to regularly report adverse health effects, such as headaches, dizziness, and homosexual thoughts.
That means you're gay.
Its high launch price and general weirdness led to poor sales, which didn't improve despite multiple price drops. The best part about the console is the library. It's easy for collectors to complete a full set since there were only 22 games published for it. Such exciting titles include Golf, Tetris, and Nestor's Funky Bowling.
And look at this pin action. Oh!
Nintendo recently announced the re-release of the Virtual Boy in the form of a Nintendo Classics accessory, acting as a housing unit for the Switch so all 9 people who are nostalgic for the thing can be immersed while sex criminals break into their home and rob them. 2 years before Twitch injected the internet with a volume as load of cancer, OnLive was a gaming service that went a step beyond streaming live video over the internet, allowing users to play video games over a modest 5 megabit per second broadband connection. Nearly a decade before everyone was saving their veiny horsecock photos to cloud storage, OnLive was allowing people to play demanding PC titles from their web browser with minimal lag.
My name is Mike McGarvey. I'm Chief Operating Officer. And
Just want somebody to jiggle my balls.
Most of the early reviews were generally positive about the experience. By far their biggest problem was active subscribers. OnLive capped out at 1,800 concurrent players actually using the 8,000 servers available for streaming. That's less attendance than the orgy I was conceived at. The company was dumping fat, salty loads of cash on servers to support their service, with nowhere near enough users to make a profit. They offered a little console box thing so you could stream to a TV that they also sold at a loss. They made a deal with Square Enix to offer a code in every physical copy of Deus Ex Human Revolution that would allow the buyer to play the game on the OnLive service at no extra charge in an attempt to get more people to try it out. GameStop, fearing the all-digital future, ordered employees to open copies of the game, remove the code, wipe their ass with it, and throw it in the trash where it belongs. GameStop has since gone on to become a Funko Pop graveyard. Sony bought the assets of the company in 2015 and shut the embarrassing, pathetic failure down forever. OnLive was way ahead of the curve in attempting game streaming. Crazy to think that even Google wouldn't try and fail at the concept until 2019. A much bigger company with nearly unlimited resources. It's now up to Microsoft and their expensive Xbox cloud service to carry on the torch of mediocre, blurry-looking, input lag-ridden game streaming for everyone to ignore. The Ouya was a cool concept that became one of the funniest failures in gaming history. It was an affordable Android-based microconsole, sucking up press attention like a tornado because of its successful Kickstarter campaign, which was at the time one of the highest earning in the website's history. The idea was to provide an open-source platform for developers big and small to release games on without having to pay a licensing fee, and hopefully to a large customer base due to the low $100 cost of the console. Ouya was trying to position itself as the people's champion, sitting outside the normal gaming ecosystem, giving players and developers much more freedom than with the big boys. But freedom isn't free.
Now there's a hefty fucking fee.
Its first hurdle was its own commander and queef, Julie Ehrman. For some reason, she couldn't keep her stupid mouth shut. Julie took every opportunity to get on camera and tell everyone why they shouldn't be excited about her product.
There is nothing special about this board. Nothing. Like, nothing, right?
Do you think that I'm retarded?
She had this odd fixation with television, not playing games on a TV. The concept of TV itself, as if she wanted to crawl into the screen and crawl up Fraser's ass. The Ouya got delayed a few times, hit retail stores before Kickstarter backers got their promised units, which pissed them all off, and the controller was infamously awful. The buttons would get jammed with cum and get stuck, same with the triggers, and it felt super cheap. Didn't help that the hunk of shit was $50, half the price of the Ouya itself. The store was plagued with Nintendo eShop levels of shovelware, and not the cultured kind. Towerfall was the one bright spot, and it eventually released on other platforms anyway. In July 2015, Razer bought the company and integrated Ouya's festering flesh pit of a library into their own Forge service, which itself would go offline in 2016, putting an end to the Ouya's short and shameful existence forever. Famous building material manufacturer Nokia decided that they would like to get in on the handheld gaming market in 2003 and compete directly with Nintendo's Game Boy Advance. Itself a handheld that was so dominant at the time Britney Spears had her own game on it before she was sacrificed to the corn. The Nokia N-Gage was a strange device that attempted to incorporate gaming into a mobile phone, so you could play Call of Duty then text your friend the link to Bonsai Kitten. The concept isn't bad, but the execution is as sloppy as when I tried to stick pudding pops in my wife's ass. First of all, you couldn't play games at all within a SIM card. So if you just wanted a gaming device, you can go fuck yourself. There was no easily accessible cartridge slot. To change games, you had to slide the back panel off, remove the battery, swallow it, then you could swap games. Despite being capable of some pretty impressive visuals, the N-Gage had an odd 11:13 aspect ratio screen, making games look kinda weird. It had some decent titles like Tony Hawk's Pro Skater and Tomb Raider, and a Sonic Advance port where Sonic gets the pass.
You're not a rapper, and if you're not Jesus Christ, you can't say the word
Despite over 50 titles in its library and a hardware redesign that fixed some of the original's problems, the N-Gage only sold 3 million units between both versions, well below expectations. Nokia considered the device a failure and went back to making phones for old people and cheap burners for Fent dealers. A few years after releasing a Cabbage Patch doll that would try to eat children, Mattel knocked it out of the park once again with their Hyperscan game console. The main gimmick was to combine video games with collectible cards. The Hyperscan featured an RFID thing that allowed users to scan little cards to unlock features in games. The pack-in was an X-Men fighting game. Kids lost their little scan cards, which kids are highly likely to do. You can't get any farther than the main menu. Not that you'd be missing out on much. There were only 5 games released for the Hyperscan, with classics including The Hulk and Spooderman. Having to purchase the game itself and then a pack of cards to arbitrarily scan into the thing just to experience a playable anal prolapse made every second of using the Hyperscan a drag. Mattel very nearly pioneered the idea of microtransactions back in 2006 when the Hyperscan launched. Had the game quality not been absolute dog shit, the card idea might have actually caught on. The world's #1 creator of shitty LCD games went above and beyond and created the world's shittiest LCD thing. Tiger Gamecom was a handheld aimed at lame older audiences, combining gaming with barely functioning digital applications like a calendar and basic internet functions, in case you want to check your email in the most clunky and inconvenient way possible. Speaking of barely functioning, the Gamecom featured a cutting-edge touchscreen display that was so dark and blurry you were forced to be immersed in every game, since you had to focus so hard just so you could see how awful a time you were having. The screen is also infamous for severe ghosting, making Resident Evil 2 even more scary. Gamecom isn't entirely without merit. It's an early example of multifunctional handheld devices. It was just about a decade too early. It got a redesign in the Pocket Pro, but that didn't fix the abysmal quality of its small library. It was also competing with the far superior Game Boy and Game Boy Color, already boasting a massive library of actually enjoyable software. The line died alone and with no children in 2000, having sold only 300,000 units. Game Boy Micro is actually kind of cool handheld that failed due to Nintendo's baffling timing. It's a smaller form factor Game Boy Advance with swappable faceplates so you can make it look rad and poppin' fresh. The purpose of a late life cycle redesign is usually to get more customers on board that were waiting for a price drop, or at least were more likely to impulse buy a gaming device under a certain price point. The Game Boy Micro didn't seem to fill any market need at all since it released nearly a full year after the DS. At a launch price of $99 USD, customers could spend an additional $50 to get access to Nintendo's shiny new handheld with its unique library, as well as Game Boy Advance games, original and color games, something the Micro couldn't do. Its small form factor and 2-inch screen would have been perfect for children who don't know any better. The screen in particular was a point of praise. Despite being the size of my tiny wiener, it had good visibility due to its even backlighting and adjustable brightness. The GBA library is massive, with tons of big titles including several Mario and Pokemon games, but the Micro should have released a few months before the DS so customers actually had a reason to buy it. As a result, the Micro sold 2.5 million units worldwide, below Nintendo's expectations. The low sales have made secondhand units of the Micro pretty expensive. There was a Famicom-themed edition released in Japan to celebrate the 20th anniversary of the original Mario Bros. I remember seeing the GBA Micro on clearance in stores like Walmart and EB Games when I was in high school, but like many others, I had no reason to buy one, even at a reduced price since I already had a DS. If I had the foresight, I would have bought one and kept it sealed as a collector's item, but more likely I would have put it in my ass. Thank you for watching all the way to the end, and if you liked the video, I'd appreciate a like and subscribe, and I hope to see you in the next one.